Hello everybody and welcome back to Mysslingen. So there has been a few changes between the previous episode and this one. Actually, I say a few changes, I mean a lot. You've just seen one. The introduction there was a brand new area which has been produced, I think, in the last few days. So that is a brand new area to the map which you didn't see in the first video. Also, these buildings now work. By that I mean you can actually open the doors and put things in here. So that's obviously really nice. You can see I've already been in here and opened these two doors. They do default to closed, which is good, like this, but yeah, before I couldn't even go in here, so that's a massive improvement, and I can now start to store my equipment in the appropriate places. So I'm going to tidy up the entire yard before I do get into any work in the fields, but before I do anything at all, I want to just go down to the shop and pick up the loading wagon which I managed to find. Thankfully, somebody has converted the Pottinger from FS19, 15, 17, and possibly before then as well. In fact, yeah, I think it was in 08, just not branded as a Pottinger. Or was it? I don't know. Anyway, yes, it's now been converted by somebody. I don't know if this tractor is going to be powerful enough to actually run it, but I can certainly pick it up with this, and it's obviously a really good opportunity to drive this tractor. It just seems like such a good all-round tractor. It's got all the handy bits in here. Probably good for forestry as well. Anyway, yep, head down to the store, pick up the Pottinger, and then come back, park it up, tidy the yard up, and finally start working the fields, picking up the grass, which I have actually rode up. I've rode up both the fields now. At the end of the previous episode, I just rode up the one field. So we are ready to go. You can see here is the other field on the left hand side. That field was not done before. You'll notice that I am busy holding up the cars, and that might not be surprising in itself, but this is the first time we've actually seen vehicles on the map, and also pedestrians, so there's definitely more life here. Before it was very dead, and yes, it's still a great map, as I said. It's just, yeah, there's nobody about, so this is brilliant. Massive improvement on what was already a very good map. Anyway, into the store, you can see we have this used Pottinger Euroboss 330T, which is going to be just the right size for our farm. We don't need anything bigger. I think if we had anything bigger, it would be very unnecessary. It requires 60 horsepower. I think my tractor is 58, so it should work. But if it doesn't, then it's absolutely fine. Interesting. Some good wheels there. Different tyres. I think we were okay with the standard, really. This one here. And you can also have a different manufacturer. But again, Pottinger is fine with me. So, I think that's going to be okay. We'll just buy this, and yeah, that's fine. We will tidy the yard up and then get to work. Right, so there it is. Come on, little tractor. Surprisingly, it looks to be the right scale for the tractor. I did initially think that the loading wagon would look way too big for the tractor, but actually, it's quite a good match. So, I am pleased about that. If it doesn't work, if it's just not powerful enough, I'll use the Fendt tractor. Yeah, this isn't particularly fast, and it's not even powering it. So yeah, we'll put it on the Fendt or the New Holland. I just want to get back to the yard and tidy up. But you can see it's all rode up, ready to go. There is only one other concern, and that is selling the silage afterwards. There is a sell point for silage. It is the barn. It's just I don't know if it has to be in a bale form to be sold. But even if we can't sell it, it's not really a big problem, because I can get some cows and feed them the silage in the future. The vote, however, I think is actually currently in favour of sheep. But eventually, I'm hoping to have sheep and cows. Anyway, yes, here we are. Let's open this door. It's clipping through. It's my atrocious parking. That is much neater. Okay, I think that should be far enough back. Yep, that's fine. I'd also like to have the trailer in here if I can fit it in. It is more the reversing which is going to be an issue. Oh, and also the seed drill. So if I just, yeah, if I detach this from there, I could actually use this little tractor to transport the vehicles, the different implements, to the shed for tidying up. It's really good for yard work, and it shouldn't do a wheelie, just moving stuff about. Even if something appears to be too large, it should still be able to pick it up, just to move. Obviously not to work. If it was to work with it, it would just sit there, revving its engine, and doing not a great deal. There we go. Okay, so next we have the header trailer, just around the corner. Oh, and also the windrower. And we do have a tedder as well. But I think really the priority is the header, because I really don't want it to get wet. If it gets wet, it's going to be... well, it could get damaged. But I think the biggest problem with these is if it gets really wet in here, it gets very rusty and everything can seize up, it gets very stiff. So we don't want that, we need it to be very free and well lubricated. Okay, I should have left enough space to be able to get this alongside and then something in front of the drill. Hopefully, that is my plan anyway. But even if we don't have space, I've just got the other two sheds as well. We have the one next to us, and also there is the other one, which doesn't actually have doors which opens, I don't think. There we go. It's a better angle. And finally, yes, the windrower. I guess if there is space, I could also put the tedder in here as well. But there is space in this smaller open fronted shed for that. This one back here is more for the much larger equipment which doesn't really fit in, whether it's because it's too wide or too long. Now, this is tall as well, but hopefully, I just want to put it in front of the drill, if I can do. Oh, nice. Yeah, it didn't really fit, but it kind of does. So we'll leave that there, close the door, and we will find an appropriate tractor to use for the Pottinger. I would say, as it's here, this would be the obvious choice, the New Holland. I did use the Fendt quite a bit yesterday. We also need to get a weeder and obviously weed the field, because it does have some weeds growing through it. And the last thing I want is for a field to be completely taken over by weeds, because it really does affect the yield quite a bit. Anyway, my plan is to do this field first, so let's just get this done and out of the way. Then I can focus on the better field, and then finally the weeding. That's gone very well, so that's looking fairly neat. I've got most of it, maybe the odd piece has been missed here and there, but nothing of importance. So that is one field down, one to go. This one's grass is way better. It's much healthier, much thicker, and there's obviously more of it, so there's going to be plenty coming off there. But even so, I think I probably got about 50,000 litres off here. 54,253. Very impressive. 12% compacted. So it's going to be good. Again, the only issue is selling it, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. You can take it to the barn, which is here. Usually the barn does only accept bales, but you just never know. Failing that, which we have to wait for another sell point. I could always put another sell point in if it just is impossible to sell it. Anyway, yes. I think we should do the weeding, because the field is going to continue to grow, and I don't want the weeds to grow to an unmanageable size so that I can't actually get rid of them with a weeder. So yeah, it's very important that I do get that done straight away. Can't believe how filthy this Fendt tractor is already. It could already do with a good wash. So there's another weight. We've got 3 weights in total. I know that some viewers were saying, why do you have 3? It's basically 1 per tractor. At least that's the idea. Because this one next to us, I think, is 700 kilo. Yeah, 700 kilograms just there. The others are a ton. So the bigger tractors have the ton, and something smaller can have the 700 kilograms. If it turns out we don't actually need them, I can just sell one. So it's simple. Anyway, yes, I'm just going to put the tedder away before I go over to the store again to get a weeder. This is the exact reason why I said we need to be very careful with the money to begin with, because you just never really understand how much money you're going to spend on machinery, and everything which I've bought so far is actually a necessity. I guess you could say that a weeder isn't necessarily required, because you could just harvest the field with the weeds in there, but you're going to lose out on quite a lot of profit because the yields will have been reduced. So I just want to do it properly. I want to get rid of the weeds. It seems ridiculous to have the ability to get rid of weeds but then just leave them in there. So yeah, let's just go and get the weeder. It doesn't need to be a very big one. I'm not going to go for the really big one unless it just ends up being the most cost effective. Most likely mid-range. I tend to go mid-range. It's a really good way of going. Okay, how busy is this road? There is a car. It is a fairly busy road, but not so busy you can't pull out, like the UK, which is extremely busy. Well, I say the UK. Yes, certain parts of the UK. Out of the way, people. Important tractor coming through. Okay, so weeders. 35,000 is mid-range, but what's the working with? 9 meters, 12 meters, and 15 meters. I can't really justify that extra amount there. It seems ridiculous, especially as this one here actually has the ability of putting in grass, oilseed radish, and oilseed rape. It's incredible. Yeah, so we'll go for the £18,000 one, which is going to be really good. It's going to go in our favour massively because we don't really need to spend much money at all. Again, I would still love to have some used machinery because it is just cheaper. But Farming Simulator currently does not have used machinery, which is a real shame. It also has a very small selection of older machines. Most of the machines that you can buy in the game, in the base game, are new models, and that's nice. That's very nice. Sorry, lady, almost crushed you there. Yeah, it's nice, but it would be nicer to have a selection of everything. Like, for example, Massey Ferguson tractors, the ones that you're given in the game are just current models. There's nothing older. There's no, 6400 series or even older than that. A 4200 series. And that is what I really do feel is missing in this game. I think it would just be so much nicer with the older equipment as well. But there you go. Maybe it's just me. Well, I know it's not just me, because I know there are many viewers who say the same thing, but is it a minority? Hard to know. Now, we do have a pressure washer just here, so I'm going to use it. It's very wise to use a pressure washer. Let's see the green colour return. That has got muddy very quickly. Extremely quickly. Anyway, a piece of dirt. I think that piece of dirt is not going to go. Right, let's do this. As I've said before, it's actually a really cheap alternative to a bigger drill. This thing, because you can actually plant oilseed rape or canola, and that is obviously a harvestable crop. And the working width of this thing is really big. So if you don't have the money for a much larger seed drill, and you just have the small 3 meter one, this is a really good way to go. Oh, thanks for the warning. Right, so I don't think the crop has grown too much. Not really, but the weeds definitely have. So once those weeds are out of there, I can leave the field for probably another day, and then it's going to need another application of fertiliser. There we go. Yeah, look at that, eradicating the weeds. Let's get right to the edge. Eradicating those weeds. Hey, the Fendt likes this. The Fendt loves the job. Once the crop has grown a bit more, if I was doing this with this tractor, it would be leaving tram lines. So that's fine, but when it comes to weeding, it's not really that good. It's fine for spraying, because the tramlines are very useful, but yeah, with this kind of working width, I'd be destroying quite a large amount of crop. So that would be a very bad idea. Having said that though, I wouldn't be driving in the field if it was a tall crop, I would not be driving in the field with a weeder, because it would just be too tall anyway for the weeder to work properly. Almost finished, and it's looking much neater. It always looks good when you've taken the weeds out, because the weeds just make the field look really messy. It's very bulky. You can tell it's really densely populated with plants, because really they are plant sort of things, because a weed is just a plant in the wrong place. So yeah, that looks so much better. I don't know why the field hasn't germinated here, or why the crop hasn't germinated here. Strange. Well, I'm sure it will do very soon. Maybe even before our eyes. These things do happen. And there's another view of the field which we're about to pick the grass up from. It looks good. I've also had a few requests as well to actually plough one of the two fields, one of these two here, and turn it to arable, and I think that's a very good idea. This one down the bottom here would be a wise one to do, but it would be unwise to do that before I actually mow the grass and pick it up, because that's just wasting a product. So really we should mow that as well, and then plough that field. Failing that, I could just do it in the field which I've just been in, so it doesn't really bother me. I don't really mind which one we do, but it is a good idea to have two arable fields and two grass fields, essentially. I haven't really explored this area very much. There's like a roundabout here. Oh, that would be the wrong way around. This is the UK way of going. But it isn't a road, so that's fine. How fun. So far in every episode I've actually recorded on this map, I've come out with another story about what this map reminds me of. And weirdly, it's reminded me of FS19 as well. A very old game. I don't know why, because it's obviously a really good map, very detailed, and nothing like the graphics of 09, but I think it's just a nostalgic feeling for some reason. I don't know why, but it's nice that a map can, give you so many different memories of things. It can remind you of different nostalgic feelings in the past. Anyway, yes, we'll put this here for the time being. Fine there, and we're going to jump back into the New Holland tractor and get the second field all picked up. I don't think it's going to take very long, probably 10 minutes or so. I think what's going to take the longest is carting it between the field and the yard. Although it's right next to it, the time does add up. Right, okay, so here we go. So pleased that we've got the pottinger though, couldn't do it without it. The alternative was to use a trailed forager, but that would have been very expensive, plus I'd have to pay for a worker as well to be alongside with the tractor and trailer, or I could just attach it to the back of the forager I suppose, but even so that would be way more expensive than using a loading wagon. So yeah, I'd have had to use just the cheapest loading wagon in the game, which is still about £50,000, something very extortionate. So having this one, this much smaller one, is it's just great, and it's already 2/3 full. So clearly it's a good crop. Despite it not being fertilised, it's come out really well. Not even one headland picked up. Now I think there's a cut through. It's actually going to be really good timing. Yeah, I think there's a cut through from this field to that field and then across the yard. It is also really heavy, despite it being the smallest loading wagon. You can see how the tractor is pulling here, up the hill. This will be the area for the sheep, or the cows, depends what wins the vote, but it's definitely not going to be pigs. The last time I checked, pigs were last, and they had a vote percentage of just 8%. So yes, not much chance of the pigs ever coming to this farm. I don't think it's ever going to be happening, but there you go. I think it's because they are so much work and they don't really give you a great deal in return. I do need to start compacting this as well. Anyway, yep, we'll get the field done and then we can think about compacting it in a minute or two. We have just one more load to go, and this is getting quite full. It's actually looking really good. It's a bit mountainous, but yeah, once it's been driven over a few times with a certain machine, it will be yeah, it'll be absolutely fine. It's quite tricky though to keep it level, keep it all fairly even. Okay, there we go, that's empty. So yeah, we've just got one swath left. And then maybe a bit of tidying up, but otherwise that is pretty much done. You can see we actually have some progress in this field as well. This area has now germinated, and this area has grown very nicely. It's looking like a very healthy crop. So there could be some decent money in this, possibly. Yeah, canola. And it says it needs lime and it needs ploughing. So yeah, next time we're going to have to plough it and spread some lime, which is going to be expensive, but again, it adds to the yield, so in the end we have a much larger profit. Anyway, I think for the rest of this episode, what we're going to do is pull that trailer out of that shed. It still has 2 bags of seed on it, and they can be put on the pallet racking. Just over there, there's a pallet rack just behind the silo. I think that'd be a very appropriate place for it, because otherwise it's just going to be sat on the trailer, and eventually I'm going to have to put the sides back on the trailer for harvesting. I need to use it as a tipping trailer, whereas currently it's set up as a flatbed. Right, well that field definitely can be ploughed if we want it to be. I think that is going to be a very good vote for the interactive series, so yep, I'll put a vote in. It is a poll, top right hand corner of the screen, you can see there is a card, and you can click on there and vote to see if you want us to turn that particular field into an arable field. Let's just get this last load put into here. What I used to do was get Courseplay to just drive backwards and forwards over it, and actually that works really well. Guess I was a bit too far over. But that is, yeah, way more full than I was expecting it to be. It's a good thing. A very good thing. So if you want to have a guess as to how full it is, then please do. Let's take a look. It is 145,587 litres full. Nice. 19% compacted, so that does need some work. I could just drop that off here and then use the New Holland. That would be a sensible thing to do. Might wash this as well, since it isn't going to be used for a while. We'll be putting it away clean. And we have this shed just here. It's actually a workshop as well, but it can go in there. Absolutely fine. Okay, so, yep, that should take a minute to rinse off. There we go. Very nice. It just keeps the whole yard tidy, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Now for the fun bit, driving backwards and forwards until it's completely compacted. It does need to be compacted today though, because I need to start the fermenting. I really do. Crush this mountain. %. So that is compacting fairly quickly. Yep, that's a decent rate. So I'll see you when it's done. I've just swapped over to the smaller tractor because it has a much smaller bonnet, it means it can go much closer to the ends and obviously, yeah, we're covering more ground each time. It is almost finished though. It is 87% compacted, but I could never get as close to the back of the pit or bunker with the New Holland because it had such a big bonnet with the front 3-point linkage, and even with the weight off it was still a very long bonnet to manoeuvre. Anyway, we're almost finished. This one does tend to get stuck more. It's only 2-wheel drive, but yeah, even so, doing a fairly decent job there. Anyway, yeah, 89%, so just, well, 10% left to go now, 90%. Now, as usual, it's all come out the front, and we should have a bucket or something to push that back into here. Otherwise, when I put the cover over, it's just going to be spilt out, and it will never ferment. So it means buying a bucket. I don't think I have one for the front loader. It really shouldn't be too expensive though, and I do need it anyway for moving this again later. So I think I'm going to go over there. It's 98%, that's fine. We can finish off with the Fendt and then pushing it up. So it means heading over to the shop to buy a bucket. We'll put this little thing in the workshop. It could do with a check over anyway. It does a good job, and we'll close the door. So I did actually mention the manual attach mod in the previous video, and quite a few people said that it was a good mod for 19. They say it all works very well. So I think we're going to look into that. It sounds like a really good thing to have in the Let's Play. If I remember rightly, I think it is around £1,000, maybe 1,500 to get a bucket for this particular front loader. But we'll find out. 1,400. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep it on the default colour. And there it is. And then once this is done, I can attach to the pallet fork again and sort out those pallets of seed, because they need to be taken off the trailer. Now for the fun bit. Now when I put this into there, it's going to actually reduce the compaction level. 99% compacted currently. And then that goes into there. Well, it was actually 100. Back down to 99 again. And every time I reverse out, it just comes a bit further out again. So it does get there in the end eventually, but it takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of doing. But soon, when it is done, it should look very neat, and then I can eventually put the cover over. Okay, so that is certainly looking neat enough, but now I just need to compact it again. It's 100%, 99%, 100%. Please don't escape again. Good. So here goes. It's covered. And it even covered the piece that was spilt. Nice. So that's now going to take some time to ferment, and once it is ready, I'm going to attempt to sell it. I can't say it's going to work, but we'll just take a small load to begin with and just find out. It's the only way of going about it, really. So, yep, like I said, we'll finish off with these 2 pallets. There's only 2. Very simple. I just need to swap the bucket for the pallet fork, and because I have now designated a particular area for the pallet fork, I know exactly where it is, which is very nice. In most of my Let's Plays I say, now where did I put that? Well, This time I don't need to say that because here it is. It's the bucket off. And that is the pallet fork on. And here is the racking, just around the corner. So you've probably already noticed, but in this series what I'm doing is 2 episodes per day. I think that's the best way of going about it. In my survival roleplay, it is 1 episode per day. But for this it doesn't need to be quite as fast paced. Even though actually this will probably feel faster despite it being 2 episodes in a day. Okay, I almost lost the second pallet there. And the first one is doing a jig. Now to put it squarely on the racking. It should fit. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so now for the second one. And then we'll be done for today. It's given me some practice if nothing else. Even though we don't actually need these pallets since we have the silo of seed over there. However, I think we do need to have bags of fertilizer. I don't think we have a fertilizer silo. Come on. There we go. Good. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see you again very soon. Bye for now.